Back in the day, superhero games were always seen as simple cash grabs. Of course, there were some exceptions like Spider-Man 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom, but for the most part, no one really paid attention to these games based on comic book properties. Rocksteady changed this perception entirely in August of 2009 when they released Batman Arkham Asylum. The game received critical acclaim, reaching over a 90 on Metacritic and winning various awards for voice acting, story, gameplay, and technical achievement. The game went on to be a commercial success, spawning 2 sequels, Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight. But there's one game that seems to be forgotten by many, one game that actually never was created by Rocksteady but is still considered canon: Batman Arkham Origins. With Rocksteady gearing up development on Batman Arkham Knight, they were looking at a 4-year dev cycle. Warner Brothers, who own Rocksteady, didn't want fans to wait that long, so they decided to give their own studio, WB Games Montreal, a new task: create a brand new entry in the Arkham series. WB Games Montreal had worked on the Wii U version of Arkham City, and now they were given less than 2 years to release a full-fledged Batman game. Given their prior experience and the time constraints they were about to face, it made sense to reuse the same engine from Arkham City. With that out of the equation, the developers started work on a script. They decided early on that the game would be a prequel and focus on a younger, more inexperienced Batman. Because of this approach, they would hire new voice actors for the role of Batman and the Joker. Batman would now be played by Roger Craig Smith, and the Joker would be played by Troy Baker. Now, these actors had a lot to prove, especially following in the footsteps of Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, and they did a fantastic job. Seriously, the voice acting from the entire cast was top-notch, and I would not mind seeing them again in future Batman games. So, let's talk about the story. It's Christmas Eve, and Black Mask has put a $50 million bounty on you that's only valid for 24 hours. As you would imagine, this causes a bunch of your enemies to target you and try to lure you out into the streets of Gotham. Despite this somewhat over-the-top story, the writing for this game is fantastic. Every character you encounter feels impactful and written with such care. And even though this is a darker story, there's some really good comedic moments, and here's just a small clip showing what I mean.
You just saved me a lot of trouble coming here, Batman. I'm gonna kill you. Then I'm gonna jumpstart your heart. And kill you again.
Throughout the main story, you're going to have some amazing boss fights just like that. No, but honestly, there really are some good fights, and the one that sticks out the most is Deathstroke. You both are in your prime, and it's just an intense back and forth brawl. Seriously, Arkham Origins is worth playing for this fight alone. I really wish Deathstroke got a badass fight in Arkham Knight, but that's a video for another day. As with every Arkham game though, the Joker ends up stealing the show. He really is Batman's greatest villain, and this story really explores how they first met, at least in the Arkhamverse. Now, there are some problems with the story. It's very similar to Suicide Squad, where they introduce a bunch of villains through a montage. Because of this, you're not going to feel any attachment to some of these characters unless you already know their origin stories. To be fair, there are profiles where you can read more about them if you're interested, but I really think they should have gone about this in a better way. Maybe remove some of the villains that really didn't have any role and then just focus on a select few. Alfred got a surprising amount of story, which was great to see. I'll be honest, I didn't really like his and Bruce's relationship at first. It definitely was more one-sided, but thankfully they have a really nice arc and it was just great to see. Jim Gordon also gets a decent amount of screen time, especially towards the end of the game. They handled his character just like you would expect. They didn't really do anything new or interesting, but that's fine. They don't have to reinvent every single character. At the end of the day, my only real complaint is that I wish the story was a bit longer. When I got to the end, I wasn't really ready for it. It sort of felt a bit rushed, especially since so much is happening at the end of the game. You don't really have time to process everything, and it's kind of over before you know it. With that said, this is still a great story though, and you should really give it a chance if you've never played Arkham Origins. As for the combat, it's the same Arkham gameplay you've come to expect. WB Games did add some new enemy types, but overall they didn't really change much. A lot of critics were actually disappointed in this, but it's not a major issue. The gameplay was fun and felt satisfying, so that's not really a negative for me. It is worth noting I did encounter some issues during my playthrough. The only somewhat major one was a cutscene that just didn't get triggered. It took me about 15 minutes before I realized that I should probably restart the game, and that fixed it. There are some other bugs like stealth takedowns not working properly or Batman's cape going crazy, but there wasn't anything game breaking. Stealth in this game is great. There's always a lot of vantage points and vents to take out enemies who walk in a linear path. Once you learn their patterns, it's pretty easy to take them out without ever being caught. If you are caught, the NPCs are smart and will shoot at you and throw grenades and just be on high alert. After a while, you do start to notice a lot of the missions are somewhat structured the same way. I know this may bother some people, but for me, I felt like the interiors and different enemy types were just enough to keep things sort of fresh. Speaking of new and fresh things, this game has something none of the others do, and that's the Batcave. For the first time, you finally get to experience the Batcave in all its glory. From here, you can change your outfits and do various training programs. Now listen, I know a training mode isn't all that exciting, but what's cool about this one is you can actually play as Deathstroke. And WB Games could have easily copied Batman's skill set and just thrown a Deathstroke skin on it, but they actually gave him unique moves. You can also play as Bruce Wayne, who has a different skill set as well. I was not expecting this for a training mode, but it was really nice to see. When exploring the cave, I obviously wanted to go inside Wayne Manor, but sadly that wasn't the case, until I found out that the DLC, Cold's Cold Heart, did just that. Playing through this DLC really makes me wish that Wayne Manor would be used more. In fact, we need more Bruce Wayne. The Nolan trilogy did a really good job pointing out that some things Batman just can't do, but Bruce Wayne can. I really think this would be a cool area to explore, and hopefully WB Montreal will do that in their next game. All in all, I really enjoyed my time playing through Arkham Origins again. Is this the best Arkham game out there? Probably not, but it does have an interesting story with great dialogue. When you realize what the developers made in under 2 years, it's surprising how good this game actually turned out. It's not perfect, no game ever is, but it's a great addition to the Arkham games and doesn't ever get enough attention. When you beat the story, there's still so many side missions to tackle. I can't stress this enough. If you haven't played Arkham Origins, it's definitely worth picking up.
Wake up!